Jesus, boys, girls, in between us again here, back with a second much anticipated, by judging my comments that I get, and promised video of the Juri Part 2 tutorial. In this one, we're going to cover her combos and mix-ups and a little bit of her overall strategy. Now, if you have not seen the first part of this, where we cover all her normals and her specials and her everything else and just what it all does, there's going to be a link below in the description. I strongly recommend that you go back there and start there first. But if you're ready to dive right into this stuff, let's get right into it. Now, talking about her overview, as mentioned in the previous video, Juri is a character, she just can't rush down her opponent. Her frame data is too shit, basically. It's just not good enough. And it causes a lot of her moves to end on negative frames. So you can't be applying constant pressure. You have to hit, you have to jump in, get your damage, then leave. Alright, or set up the next thing, or something. You just can't be constantly going for pressure on block. It's not going to work. She's not Cammy, she's not Karen, she can't do it. But where she does excel is in the neutral space. So this is a game we talked about in the last video. Things like stand medium kick, things like stand heavy kick, these are all really great. You can buffer stand heavy punch into Roensatsu as a whiff punch tool. So extremely easy to just buffer. Doesn't come out, doesn't come out, comes out. So it's really easy to use that if you want to use that as a whiff punish tool. Keep in mind that it's not safe on block, but it is, you know, if you're whiff punishing, you don't really have to worry about that. So your game plan should really be with Juri is to play very patiently and frustrate your opponents taking big risks to try and get their damage. Because once you have that life lead, you just want to sit on it. Hold on to the life lead, get them frustrated, make them do dumb things. It doesn't mean you should play defensively, it doesn't mean you should turtle, but you should be staying in a safe range, using tools like your low fireball and these normals to keep them at a distance and keep them out of their effective range. Use your tools. Talking about frame traps, this is going to be a very brief part of the video because Juri has a very limited ability to frame trap due to the aforementioned shitty frame data. She basically has 4 moves that are positive on block and 3 of them are lights. So it's going to be very easy once your opponent knows what your frame data is to just not press buttons if they see lights. That's really it. However, due to the increased range of her light kick fireball, it does afford her better pressure when she's moving in. Okay, primary frame trap is going to be crouching light punch, standing medium punch, and cancel into your fireball store of choice. It's going to look a little bit something like this. Now, there are multiple reasons that you want to use this one, and for one, this is an autopilot combo regardless of whether they actually do go for frame trap or whether they choose to block, because it ends in -2 regardless, and the pushback resets to neutral. The second reason, however, is that if you hit with this combo at any point and get the launcher off the fireball store, you can then follow up with a extension of EX Fireball. So it looks something like this. Try again. There we go. I managed to store the only fireball I already had. Alright, the third reason you want to use this is it requires no stores to execute and gives you a free store regardless of your success. So if they block, you get a free store. If it hits, you get a free store and an EX follow-up. And lastly, of course, is if you have heavy kick stored, you can use it for V-Trigger 1 activation. So you always want to have that heavy kick on deck whenever you've got V-Trigger ready to go. Now, the gap in this string is 3 frames, which does mean that between the crouching light punch and the standing medium punch, that's a 3-frame gap. That's the frame trap right there. But it does mean that if they manage to perfectly time a 3-frame jab, they will actually knock you out of that. So that is the only risk. It's a very, very small risk, but they can do that. However, what is more of a risk is that they can also mash an invincible reversal in that gap and it will go straight through you. And I've had it happen to me more times than I would like, that people just woof on EX reversal, or worse, they just woof on critical art. And because you're autopiloting the combo, it will nail you, and that is another risk. It's not a high risk, because especially if it's critical art, they have to have that on deck to start with, but it's just something to keep in mind. It will work far more often than it doesn't, but when it doesn't, you will be shaking your head, I can assure you. Alright, let's talk about Juri's V-Triggers. She has 2 of them, and the first one is the Feng Shui Engine Alpha. V-Trigger 1 is Juri's primary V-Trigger and should always be your go-to V-Trigger of choice until some incredibly useful technology is discovered for V-Trigger 2, which I have not seen yet. If you've seen it, by all means, feel free to let me know and I will apologize profusely on the channel. Now there's two primary methods of activation for V-Trigger 1. First one is going to be either using a medium kick Ryoden Satsu or the EX Ryoden Satsu. So either of them you can get a follow-up from, but it's not very high damage, but that's not the case. It's not really a problem either. I mean, you're just going to have to spend meters. If you want to use the EX Ryoden Satsu, you're using the same amount of meter, just in a different order. Both of those will be safe, both of them will give you an opportunity for a follow-up if it actually hits. But regardless, for both of those you have to spend some meter, which is not great. The other method that I prefer is to use the crouching medium kick into heavy Fuhajin into your V-Trigger cancel, which looks a little bit like this. Because only the first hit of the Fuhajin hits, they are still grounded, which does give you a follow-up opportunity. And because you start the combo low, it's a little bit harder to block, especially when Juri just dashes up and goes for it. She has a very low profile when she hits. She can hit from reasonably far away. So it's probably the better option on the two, but if you need to close distance fast, you're probably better off using the Ryoden Satsu. Now, in the Season 2 tutorial, if you saw that, I showed you several combos that you could use after a V-Trigger activation that would serve as a pretty good means of getting damage. But that's changed in Season 3. In Season 3, there was a universal nerf to V-Trigger activation and combos, making it count for 2 hits instead of 1, thus increasing the scaling of the combo. In Season 2, doing a combo after V-Trigger activation was questionably good in terms of meter usage. In Season 3, it is absolutely flat out not worth it, and I'm going to show you why. There is a combo which I always like to do to show people on my stream. If you've seen it before, you know what I'm talking about, where essentially we're going to do the most swag-ass swag combo that Juri can do with a V-Trigger, and then we're going to do the same combo but without V-Trigger, and you can check the damage values. Alright, you can see that combo does 384 damage at the cost of using 2 fireball stores, 9/10 of your V-Trigger, and 1 EX bar, or 1 critical light gauge if you want to call it that. That's a lot of resources, but we did get nearly 400 damage, so even though it started with a jump in, which is not ideal, that's a lot of damage. That's good, solid damage. That's more than a raw critical art. So you say to yourself, that's pretty good, I can use that combo, it's sweet, it's swaggy, it does a lot of damage. Problem is that if you use the same combo, but with no V-Trigger and no bar, this is what happens. We get 390. We get less damage using a shit ton of resources than if we just used no resources at all. And that perfectly sums up how V-Trigger works in this game now for Season 3 for Juri, is that if you confirm into your V-Trigger, that's great, but what you want to do is you want to use as little V-Trigger to finish that combo off as possible. Do not use fireballs, do not use the V-Trigger links, just do a regular combo, score a knockdown, and start your pressure after that. So when you activate your V-Trigger, essentially you've got a few different options. You can do a tag combo. You could do a back heavy kick into your combo end of choice. But regardless of what you do, you want to finish the combo without spending resources. Juri had an increase to the amount of time that her V-Trigger decays when it's not being used. As you can see right now, it's decaying very slowly. You can apply a significant amount of pressure while this is up, and you'll still have decent resources to work with. So don't go blowing it all right at the start, because otherwise you are just wasting your resources and your damage potential. Now, after you get that knockdown and you're looking to start applying pressure, your best option for applying pressure after a knockdown is going to be standing medium kick and standing heavy kick into heavy Fua, and I'll show you why. So normally, if you want something really simple, standing kick, stand heavy, Fua. 200 damage, that's solid. You only use half your bar, so you get another setup after that, and it's like I said, very, very easy to execute under pressure, things like that. So it's a good place to start with your V-trigger pressure. Now, the reason this is such a good option is because this is a frame trap as well. So if we set our friend Cammy to guard all, and we set her guard recovery actions to being crouching jab, which is 3 frames. So you can now see she'll actually retaliate with a crouching jab. We'll just let our V-trigger run out. Now, watch what happens when we go for our V-trigger activation into that string on block. Right, there's a gap there. That gap is actually not intentional, I'll actually say that. You can delay it obviously on purpose, but if you do it fast enough, it will actually not be a gap there. There we go. So as you can see, she got crush counted when the heavy kick came around to town, which is the best part of that. So there is a gap between the stand medium kick and the stand heavy kick, and there is a gap between the stand heavy kick and the heavy fireball. So there's 2 frame traps in that one setup that if at any point they get nervous and start pressing buttons, they will be punished for it. So that's why I really like that as an option. And of course, if they block the heavy fireball, you can just use the light fireball at the end of it to make yourself safe. So it's a great option, it's a great all-rounder, it's a great place to start. Obviously there are more advanced stuff that you can do. I'm sure you can find those on YouTube. I don't want to show those here. The one caveat to this is that there is the second gap between the stand heavy kick and the fireball. For some obscure reason, this had to be a deliberate choice on Capcom's part, is that if you do it as part of a string, so basically if they block the string up to the heavy kick and decide to do a 3-frame jab between the heavy kick and the fireball, even though it's a frame trap under normal circumstances, so under normal circumstances, we pop our V-trigger, we do stand heavy kick and heavy fireball, it works. If it's part of a string, she can jab you out of it. I don't know why that is. I don't know the logic behind it. But that is, even though, like I said, frame data really hasn't changed, it just works that way. So, just, like I said, it's only a 3-frame gap there, and they have to be mashing on jab, and they have to block the string up to that point for it to work. Although, of course, they can do invincible reversals at that point as well. Point being, it's still a really, really solid string, and it still will get you a lot of damage, I promise you, but just be aware, again, really annoying when... Oh, that V-trigger up. When that works, and that doesn't. So, just be aware. Knowing is half the battle. Alright, now we have 2 V-trigger mix-ups. Juri actually has V-trigger mix-ups. It was one of the things that people complained about most in Street Fighter V as opposed to Street Fighter 4, that Juri did not have any resets or mix-ups with her V-trigger in this game. And she did have some in Season 1 and 2, but they were very, very situational and very hard to pull off. But thankfully with Season 3 and the increasing range to the light kick fireball, while not immediately apparent, having the range extended on that fireball has actually given Juri mix-ups in her V-trigger 1. I'm going to show you 2 of them right now. Now the first one is going to be one where we actually do a knockdown from a DP, and once we get a knockdown from the DP, we will actually throw out a fireball. It has to be a regular fireball. It can't be a V-trigger fireball already, because that causes knockdown, whereas regular fireballs do not. We throw out a regular fireball, we V-trigger cancel the activation of that fireball, we dash in and go for an overhead, and you're going to see what happens with that right now. I will slow it down afterwards, as with all the combos in this video, so you can get a better look. So as you can see, with that combo, the way it works is that you get a knockdown specifically off a heavy punch DP, you backdash once after landing, throw out the fireball, dash in, and do an overhead. Now obviously this will leave you open to a reversal if they choose to go for a wake up reversal. However, with a fireball heading towards them, chances are they will just go for a block. If they choose to block, the overhead will actually hit them and push them back far enough that the fireball will then combo, and you can follow up after that with your combo of choice. Going from light punch into stand medium kick seems to be the most solid way to do it, because there is a lot of pushback on this mid-screen It does work in the corner as well and has less pushback, so you can try it there too. But this is really probably the easiest of the two, and I recommend starting out with this. You get decent damage off of it, good damage, but yeah. Alright, the second combo that I'm going to show you counts on using a V-trigger activation into target combo, into a juggle, into a fireball, and then into your reset. So you are actually using more resources on this one, just before you get confirmed. So there is potential that you spend your resources and they are able to block, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it's the more flashy of the two. It looks really great when you first see it, and also gets you some good damage as well. So there are some tricks to it, and I'll talk about those once I've shown it to you, but here it is in action. Okay, wasn't that something? That's a pretty swaggy combo. Once I saw that, I'm not going to claim credit for discovering that one. I don't really claim credit for discovering either of them, but point is that when I first saw that, my mind was blown. So what happens is that you confirm the activation, you do target combo, launching them into the air. When you launch them into the air, you are able to jump cancel the last part of the target combo. That only works when you're in V-trigger. You cannot jump cancel target combo when you are not in V-trigger. You do jump medium punch to put them into a float state, and then you throw a leg kick fuha when you land. Now, the trick to this one is that, or rather, when you've actually knocked them into the air, the first part, there's two tricks to this. The first part is when you knock them into the air, do not do the medium punch right away. You actually need to delay the medium punch for a fraction. If you watch the replay, which is on the screen happening right now, you need to delay that for just a split second. You need to get like a little bit closer to the ground to make this work. So you delay, you do your medium punch for the float. When you land, you throw a leg kick fuhajin, and then because you cannot cancel from a leg kick fuhajin into a medium kick Ryodan Satsu, you have to wait for the animation to finish. Now this is going to take a little bit of practice, because if you're like me, you want to do the fireball and then do the motion for the Ryodan Satsu right away. It will not come out. Wait for Juri to finish her animation before it comes out. If you time it all perfectly, they will land on the fireball and only absorb the first hit. You'll Ryodan Satsu over them. As they get up, they'll be hit by the second hit of the fireball if they do not block correctly. That is where your reset comes in. They get hit, they get put into a juggle state, you do a heavy kick fuhajin, and then once that finishes, you juggle them again with the EX fuhajin. It's a lot to take in. Honestly, I have not actually tried to do this in a match just yet. I haven't had enough chance to practice it because it is tricky to pull off, but it can be done as you see here. So go forth, learn that, swag it out. Alright, V-Trigger 2. I talked about the Feng Shui engine beta in the first video, and I said that it was horrible. I have not seen anything to change my opinion on this yet. Again, I stress, if you know some technology for this that I am not aware of, that I haven't talked about here, link it in your comment below, and if it's viable, I will honestly make a video and apologize for it, because I want you guys to be well informed. I'm not just doing this to look good. So, that said, V-Trigger 2 is awful and should not be used under any circumstances ever for anything at all, period. The end. And there's a few reasons for this. If you want to look at the frame data up top, you're at +5 after activation. +5 is not a lot of time. You cannot get a great setup after that. That's one of the things that I really dislike about this, is that you do not have a lot of frame advantage after the activation, and you have to link it. You can't cancel it. So that's one of the main reasons why I don't like this. Now, the other reason I really don't like it is that if you do go for a combo afterwards, that's going to cause you problems as well. Because you might say, well, staying medium punch is a 5-frame startup, therefore if you time it properly, you can get a combo off of that. And you are right, but watch this, and I'll show you why that's a bad idea. Hands up, who knows the answer? I'm going to assume some of you have your hands up. If you do tag combo and go into anything after the tag combo, it's going to knock them into the air. If you knock them in the air, you're not absorbing their bar. And as you saw there, when we landed, she landed at just the right distance to actually not be sitting in the field either, so you actually still have to approach after that. So there's a lot, that's mainly the reasons that even if you get a combo, you're knocking them in the air for anything. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're doing Fireball, if you're doing Tensenrin, if you're doing Rear Ansatsu, you will make them airborne, and while they're airborne, they are not getting their meter stolen. So for that reason as well, it's really, really bad. You can only really use it as a pressure tool, and it's bad for that because you don't get free fireballs, it doesn't change her frame data, and her frame data is still shit. You're going to be ending at -2 a lot of the time, if not worse. So please just don't use this V-Trigger. It's awful in every conceivable way. I repeat, the only way that this V-Trigger is ever good is if you can use it as a whiff punish, because it has a vacuum effect. So as you can see, that's a decent vacuum effect. We'll try a little bit further out. She can pull them in from pretty far. Further away still. So that finally whiffed. So if you want to try and use it for a whiff punish, if you think your opponent's doing something which this may actually be a viable punish for, then by all means give it a whirl, but I really just still cannot stress enough how terrible I think this V-Trigger is, and you should never, ever, ever use it. It is the cancer of this game, so please don't. Alright, the part that you've all been waiting for, the combos. Now, almost all of Juri's combos can be made safe by either ending the string in a Fuhajin store or a leg kick release, as we talked about in the previous video. Both of those options are -2 on block. The trade-off for this is, as we mentioned, she really, outside of what I've just shown you with the V-Trigger, there's no mix-ups, there's no resets, there's nothing like that. You go in, you get your damage, you leave. You reset neutral, you can apply pressure, but make it safe pressure, make it fireballs, things like that. Don't just keep pressing buttons. So, that said, let's get into the combos. Now, these combos are designed to be practical. There are plenty of other combos that Juri has. I'm not going to show them to you because you're not going to fucking use them. They're just not... They're either not damage worthwhile in terms of scaling, or they're just going to be too hard to perform. They're not practical. So these are designed to be practical and useful, and I will show you the regular version of the video, and I'll show you a slowed down version right afterwards so that you can see how each move comes out in order. And if there is an extension for critical art, I will show that as well. Alright, let's do this.
Just trying to make it sweat. I know you want me, come on. to bed. 'Cause if I win, I get to have you as my pet. I know you want me, stop playing hard to get. You know you want me, just trying to make me sweat. I know you want me, come on and place a bet. 'Cause if I win, I get to have you.
Okay guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. This covers the basics of what Juri can do and how to use her. Now, if you want more specific tips, to make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I'm currently doing another series where I'm showing people how to rank up. So it doesn't matter what rank you are, if you're a rookie, bronze, silver. I'm doing a series from rookie all the way to gold on how to rank up. Once I figure out how to get out of gold where I am now, I will let you guys know about that too. But I'm showing everyone the tips and the tricks that they can use with Juri specifically, but other characters as well. This applies. These are kind of universal things to help you improve at the game. So make sure to subscribe if you want that kind of information and more tutorials. I also post daily fighting game videos as well as discussion topics regarding current news and events. But that is it for now, guys. Kisses, hugs, and belly rubs. I will see all of you very soon.